So I have a story time for you guys. So I just found out about this podcast called Something Was Wrong, and I've been obsessively listening to it this week. Essentially, it's just real people sharing like testimonies about abusive partners that they've been with. One of the overwhelming things I've noticed is that we don't listen to our bodies when we are in the presence of these people in the beginning. Most of these people's stories, their body would start telling them that something was wrong and they wouldn't listen, and they would justify it and they would rationalize the red flags as they would happen, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've all been there. We've all done that. This reminded me so much of an experience I had with a guy a little over a year ago, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Hopefully you can learn from my mistake if you're trying to date again after narcissistic abuse, or if you're currently with a narcissist. So a little over a year ago, I was working at this bar, and there was this guy that worked there. He was tall, he was handsome, he was like kind of like punk looking, and I thought he was really cute when I first started working there. But as I was working there, I would notice that he wasn't great with boundaries. Like, he would come up to me sometimes and like just poke me, or I would be in the back room and I would like stretch and he would like poke my stomach or try to touch me, or like come behind me and like wrap his arms around me, but like not ask. And like, it was just always kind of weird. Like, I just kind of felt like, he's not super great with boundaries. So I was really turned off by that. And I could tell that he was interested in me, but I just wasn't wanting to date anyone. And I just really wasn't interested in him, even though I thought he was attractive. So a number of months into working there, I was about to get off of my shift, and he was like, hey, can you take some pictures of me making these drinks? And I was like, okay. So I took some pictures of him, and then I got off work for the weekend, and I Facebook messaged him the pictures that I had taken of him. And from there, he started like Facebook messaging me all weekend. And I was like messaging him back, but I started to notice over the weekend that like the messages were getting like too far along. Like, he was moving too quickly. And I had seen this before. I had been with a narcissist before at this point. So I was like, I don't really like how this is feeling. But I was trying to justify it at the same time. I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. So then Sunday night, he's like, hey, can I call you? And I was like, okay, fine. And I remember this so clearly. I was sitting on the floor of my bathroom and we were talking on the phone for a little while. And then at one point we were talking about like why our last relationships hadn't worked out or something. And he said something like, you know, every girl I've dated, like, or tried to date on dating apps and stuff, like, I would text them and they would just like not get back to me. And just the way he said it, I remember it was like something stabbed me in the stomach. Okay, part 2 of my story time. So I was on the phone with him, right? And then he says this thing about these girls never texting him back. And I don't know what happened, but I got this overwhelming sensation in my body that was like, run, this is danger. I still remember it because I've never had such a strong feeling about anyone in my life. I didn't even have this feeling when I had met my narcissistic ex, because I was on drugs at that time. I was completely sober with this guy, and I got this feeling, and I knew I had to get off the phone. And so I told him, I was like, hey, you know what? I gotta go. And I got off the phone, and right after I called another one of my friends and told them, I was like, I just got the weirdest feeling about this guy. Like, something's weird. And after that, I messaged the guy that I worked with, and I was like, hey, you know what? I am just not ready to be in a relationship right now or anything. Like, let's just stay friends, whatever. He tried to play the victim and like act all sad. And I was like, please don't do that. Like, I'm still trying to get over someone that was really toxic. Like, let's just have a good working relationship, whatever. So I go back to work for the next number of months, and things are fine with this guy. Like, he's still doing the thing where he's like bad with physical boundaries. Like, he would still kind of like poke me and stuff like that. But I noticed that he was kind of like not giving me any more attention. Like, he was just kind of leaving me alone for the most part. And I appreciated that. I was like, okay, he's not being like a weird stalker. He's not trying to message me or text me. Like, he's just being normal. And so I was like, I started to tell myself that maybe I had just like made it all up. Like, maybe I was being too harsh on him, and maybe he is just this good guy and he was just trying to flirt, and I was like being rude to him because of all the shit that had happened to me in my past. So a number of months go by, and I start kind of seeing him in a new light. And I'm like, well, maybe he's not so bad. Like, he hasn't been stalking me or being weird or anything. Like, maybe, you know, maybe I should give this another try. One thing that I did know is that he had hooked up with like most of the girls that worked at this bar, and I didn't really like that about him. I was like, oh, he's kind of like a a man whore, I guess, if you want to say. He hooks up with a lot of girls at this bar, but maybe he's just trying people out, trying to date, whatever. I can't like blame him for that. So anyway, I start kind of talking to him again. I'm like, hey, do you want to like go see a show sometime, whatever? And he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. We start like flirting a little bit. I make plans to go see a show with him, but he ends up not being able to show up. And so I was like, okay, well, he's clearly not like obsessed with me. Like he's not coming to the show. He kind of stood me up. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give him one more chance. He makes the plans this next time and he's like, hey, this band is coming that I really want to see. Do you want to come with? And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Whatever. So we have to work together leading up to that. Storytime part 3 about the guy I worked with. So it's leading up to when we're going to go see the show and we still have to work together. And so I remember this one shift. I was at work and we had this little back area at work where we would put our purses, put our phones, stuff like that. And if we had a free minute, because I was a server and he was the bartender. And if we had a free minute, we could go to the back room and like look on our phone or whatever. So that day it was just me and him working. It was like kind of a slower shift. And I had put my phone in the back, just like out in the open, just so I could look at it. And so I go back to the back room and I open up my phone to like go look at something, and I had to pull up my photos for some reason. I was going to upload a photo or something, and I notice he has recorded like 2 videos of himself in my phone of just like being silly, like making some faces. I got this really scared, like heartbeat feeling, like what the fuck? Like at first I was really confused. I was like, how is this in my phone? Like what the fuck is going on? And then I realized like he came back to the back room, opened my phone, took videos of himself with my phone for me to find, and didn't say anything about it. Like he wasn't like, oh, hey, I just like did some funny shit in your phone. Nothing. He said nothing about it. And so I found it and I called him out. I was like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, haha. That was like the second time that I got a really, really strong, weird feeling about him. I was like, something is fucking off with this guy. Like, this is not normal. But again, because of like the abuse that I've been through, like you just convince yourself that you're crazy and you're overreacting. So I was like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. He was probably just trying to be funny. The night comes that we're going to hang out. And one thing I noticed about him is that I was trying to just meet up with him at the show, right? But he kept like wanting me to come to his apartment first. And I kept telling him like, I'll just meet you there. And so the night of the show comes and he's like, well, I live right by the show, so you can park like outside of my place. So the night of the show comes and I drive up there with my little dog and park outside of his place and text him. I'm like, hey, I'm outside. And he's like, well, just come up for a sec because you're a little bit early. And I was like, oh, fuck, So I go up there. His place is cute. It's cozy. I'm like, whatever. And everything's like fine for the most part. But he starts drinking a lot. We can go get some food, but like I'm not allowed to go in this one place because, this chick was, spreading rumors about me that I like choked her out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, oh my God, who am I with right now?